Okay, so this is the framework that is, let's call it, that is used in the Western world. Okay, so for the scientific formulation, it's called the logic of scientific method. It's called logic of scientific discovery. And what they, I mean, with all this wonderful discussion, what could be possibly happening is we may be very, very close, but might be stuck on words. So, for example, during the break, that may not be the final solution. But another professor said maybe the pramana we use as a knowledge. Okay, yeah. So if you use a knowledge, I mean, I don't have a problem with that, because what is the whole objective of a science is to growth of knowledge, you know. So everything like this, and we are going to use this framework to show examples. And although sir, you may not be with us tomorrow, you are going to be here, so we may have that. You can carry the baton, okay, for him. Very good. The second one, so now we talked of different elements in this Vijnana Buddhi. What I call this grain and chaff separation matrix. You know what grains and chaff is? Like a husk or whatever you want to call it, something that you don't want, okay? So how to separate this? We had, at this triangle, we had two aspects. One was the evidence, okay, all the astronomy evidence in this case, but it could be any evidence. And the other one is ability to test it, okay. So that's going away from little bit, which is objective testing, okay, just ability to objectively test it. If I use the evidence as a y-axis for a minute, okay, so then it will go from either at the bottom arbitrary or selective evidence, not using all the evidence, only some evidence on one axis, one side, the other being all the relevant evidence. So as soon as you say astronomy evidence, if there is an astronomy description in Mahabharata, you must include in your analysis. You cannot exclude it. If you draw another axis, the horizontal axis of testability, okay, objective testability, you might say yes, it can be tested objectively, then you call it scientific. Just stay with me. Scientific has also reductionist approach to it. If you cannot objectively test, then you use the word metaphysical, okay, or atarkya. Atarkya, metaphysical can be translated as atarkya. And I'll give an example to explain what I mean by this. Any questions so far? I use two axes. One is the axis of evidence, okay, like observations, right? Remember, we had the Arundhati, we had a Rohini and Saturn and so on and so forth. Those are different observations. So are we using all observations, or are you busy using some arbitrary or selective observation? Those are the limits. The second axis is of axis of testability. Can we test that observation objectively or not? If the answer is yes, then it is a scientific. If it's not, it's metaphysical, okay, atarkya. The word atarkya, because metaphysical does not mean, so the opposite of scientific is not non-scientific or anti-scientific. Are you with me? Because some of the things we may not able to test. They could be still true, we just have no objective way of verifying whether true or false. Now if you look at those four quadrants that are created by this, the first, these are names given by me. The first quadrant here, we can call this preservation of tradition. Take the example of a Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute critical edition. What did they do? They are not interested in testing whether that some statement is true or false, whatever it is. They are not interested. But what are they interested? They are interested in looking at every possible manuscript, every possible variation. They don't want to throw out anything. They want to preserve. Are you with me? But they are not interested in testing. Or they may be, but they did not do it, you know. So that is the preservation of tradition. It's a very useful thing. Okay, a lot of hard work goes into it. In fact, what you find is this. Our many narratives, so take epics, Ramayana or Mahabharata. Do you know that in the same book, there are conflicting statements? How many of you know that? I'll give you an example. Take how old Ram was when he went to Vanvas. What are the multiple answers? Anyone knows? 25 is one. Huh? 25 is 1. So when Ram, the one version in the Ramayana, the same Valmiki Ramayana says, when Ram left for the Vanvas, Ram was 25 years old. The other version says what? 17 or 18. 17, 18. Okay, so 17, Gorisio says 18. In the same Valmiki Ramayana. Okay, I don't want to digress from this, but the reason I'm bringing it is, isn't it amazing of those folks, and we should be thankful to them, that in spite of or irrespective of the fact that there were contradictory claims, they said, you know what, my job is not to get into this controversy. Okay, let these two folks in the front and instructor handle. I'm just kidding, okay. My job is to preserve it. So even when there are perfectly conflicting, because either it's 25 or 17, 18, there cannot be anything in between unless you have some higher explanation. They just preserved it. And you can find this in a many places. Okay, so great job. And then you know what, they can leave it to us to figure it out. And actually I have done that as to whether the 17 makes more sense or 25 makes more sense. I'll show you at the end of the course my blog. How many of you have gone to my blog? Just 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5. Wow. So if you just type age, AG, age of Rama, you are going to come across that. Okay, and I just put both positions, the support for 25, support for 17 or 18, and then pull other references to show why 17, 18 makes more sense and 25 doesn't make sense. But they are there and they preserved it. Okay, so great job here, even if they were conflicted. The next one, I call it Dharmic Assertions. You can give any name you want, but it is the most desired approach, and therefore I called it Dharmic Assertions. What are they doing? They are using all the evidence and they are proposing their theory in such a way that each one of the observation is objectively testable. Now what is objectively testable? Anyone? When you say, oh, it has to be objectively testable, what does that mean? Correct. Correct. Correct, right? So if I say Arundhati Vasishtha, will get to that tomorrow morning. So I say, well, if you go to that year, see, look, Arundhati is walking ahead of Vasishtha. Okay? You don't have to say, well, I actually don't see it, but I trust you. I believe you. You don't have to say that. You should able to repeat the same process, like a process for avial, Someone gives you the recipe, you follow that, step 1, step 2, increase 25 degree, whatever it is, and you get the same, more or less the same output. It's objectively testable. So this is the right approach. This is the desired approach. The third one, they are only using selective evidence and they happen to select that evidence which is not testable. Okay, now it's very funny. They only get attracted towards that. What could be example of this? Tamasik skepticism, meaning the evidence is, they pick some evidence or a description from the epic, Ramayana or Mahabharata, but it cannot be tested with our current technology, or there is no evidence other than the Shabda evidence. Any examples? Pushpak Viman. Yeah. So what do we say? Well, we have a description. Pushpak Viman was flying and all of that, but that's a Shabda, that's a description. Now, why did they select Pushpak Viman? Because it cannot be tested. Okay, now are they wrong? No, they are not wrong. I mean, that's a very genuine question. Show me Pushpak Viman, show me the money, right? But what can we say? Right now with the current technology, it cannot be tested. So it is a atarkya. Okay, and they haven't looked at all the evidence. They only look at Pushpak Viman, and many will reach the conclusion, because you cannot prove Pushpak Viman, therefore the whole Ramayana has no meaning. We cannot trust Ramayana. Because where is the Pushpak Viman? All kinds of fancy things. That is Tamasik skepticism. Okay, now why I call it skepticism? Skepticism is good. The Tamasik is the bad part. Because if you are a skeptic, you know what you should do? Actually, many people have done that. I'll give you an example of Troy. You should find a way to test this theory of a Pushpak Viman. Okay, how could they would have made something with the technology that you think existed that time, try to make one. Maybe how they did it. That would be good. But you don't want to do anything. In fact, you just want to use that to discount the whole thing. Another favorite would be what? So Pushpak Viman from say Ramayana. Huh? Yeah, but see, Brahmastra is not such a problem because Mahabharata doesn't say Brahmastra anywhere. Sorry, not Brahmastra, the atomic bomb. But Brahmastra, you just mean Brahmastra by itself. Yeah. So Brahmastra is a good example. Yes. Bridge is a good one. Okay, so where is the bridge? When was it built? And so on and so forth. And again, maybe we get chance, we will go into that, the bridge thing. But you know what? Okay, so just because the bridge we cannot explain doesn't have anything to do with rest of the Ramayana, right? So now you think, okay, that's from a long time ago. I'll take something from a very recent time because we don't have a problem believing it. You mean flying? Yeah. Hanuman flying, same as a Viman kind of problem. Now how the human being, kind of going there. I mean, is he a human being? That's another one. Okay, all right. So Pushpak Viman is one. What is that? The bridge is another. Okay. So what are they doing? I mean, who are these people who use that Tamasik skepticism? Right. And what is wrong with it? Correct. Yeah. Right. Take a very recent example. King Shivaji. Everyone has heard Raja Shivaji. Okay. And you might have heard the story that goddess Bhavani gave him the Bhavani sword. Okay. Pratyaksha gave him Bhavani sword. Now, again, our narrations, any narration, I don't mean our narration, any narration has multiple layers. So someone, a Shiva Bhakta, by Shiva Bhakta I mean Shivaji Bhakta, might want to take it literally. Says, hey, you know what, this is how it is. Now, we have one individual here, I mean, we had this discussion, he comes from a Christian background. Okay, so in the Bible, the Jesus resurrected on the third day or whatever it is. And you want to ask now, okay, what is the proof? You don't need a proof. What do you mean? You better believe it. Okay, something like this. But some Shivaji Bhakta may literally take it. Now, are you going to pick a fight with him? If it doesn't fit your psyche, you might say just ignore that part, but he's doing all other great work. Let's look at that. Okay, somebody, what is your explanation? Goddess Bhavani literally giving the sword to Shivaji. I'm not saying there is a one explanation or my favorite explanation. Right? I mean, don't we go to the... Absolutely. Don't we go to the mandir, we put the prasad, we do the prayers and accept it as a blessing, right? Because of his shraddha and all of this. So, yeah, inside. That's another interpretation. That is also a possibility. Yeah, and God is, I mean, some people have a experience of actually God is giving a darshan that could have happened. Okay, all of this is a possibility. We don't have an objective way of testing it. Do you agree? That's why it is falling here. Now, based on that one instance, we don't have to discount the whole story, whole existence of Shivaji. With me? Okay. So that's the third category, but it will be used. For example, the example I always use, which is Jain Nararikar. Okay, Jain Nararikar and Pushpak Viman. He's stuck in the Pushpak Viman forever. Okay, and that is the problem. I mean, so the way he will go about it is no Pushpak Viman. I haven't found a fuselage. The whole thing. So I cannot believe in Ramayana. And I mean, I have tried to communicate with him. I said, I sold aircraft engines. Come, let's talk about it. Okay, it hasn't happened. So. Okay, the last one, I call it superficial and manipulative claims. Now, why superficial? It's superficial because, superficially it sounds scientific. Because what they do is, they do look at some of the evidence. and they too try to test it. For example, we wrote down this Magha Shukla Ashtami, okay, as the day of when Bhishma Nirvana, based on one reference. They will find a year in which the winter solstice happened on Magha Shukla Ashtami, and they will say, therefore, that year is the year of Mahābhārata war, for argument's sake. Okay? Now that could be true, but what would you ask? What questions you would ask to that person? You said that's good, but now tell me what happens to rest of the evidence. Does that also match? Okay? He hasn't looked at rest of the evidence, or she. They will take only that evidence which seems to fit their model. Okay? So in that sense, it's superficial. Why it is manipulative? Because they are objectively testing it, it gives that sense of scientific. Anyone can use the word scientific. It feels, yeah, oh, okay, they have done it scientific. You know, common man cannot make a distinction. So this is another framework. Now I have shown this here, by the way, I did not use the word anywhere astronomy. Did you see that? What does that tell you? This is a framework that is applicable anywhere, for any problem. Even the problems of humanities. Who was telling me in the morning, somebody uses the word, you were telling me, yeah. So, can you elaborate quickly? What is the word that your professor suggested? Oh, sorry, yeah. What is the word? Shastra, humanities, or what is? Exact humanities. Like the translation is trying to say is the exact humanities. My point is the exact science, and it could be for any subject, for the humanities too. You know? So now what happens is, that's a good part here, all evidence. And when it comes to the testability, this is bad, it is bad here, and it is bad. So the only quadrant we are left with the two checks is that all evidence, everything testable. With me? Okay. Now if we use this as a framework and look at all the astronomy claims, or not astronomy, all the chronology claims for the year of Mahābhārata war, there are more than 130 plus. I'm answering someone's question, by the way, you know, just in a way, more than 130 plus. They fall like this. And you know, here you have to take my word for it that is true, although we don't have a time. So 4 or 6, they fall here. Now what are they? At least you should be able to name one of them. Bhandarkar critical edition. Yeah? Bhandarkar critical edition. Or Nilakantha Chaturdhar, I don't know, 17th or 18th century, what he did. You know, it's a very genuine effort. What Bhandarkar Oriental did last 100 years is in some way Nilakantha Chaturdhar did in 17th, 18th century. Tried to find what it is and create a standard edition. Shankar Balakrishna Dikshit, okay, again did a very genuine effort more than 100 years ago to get into the details of Mahabharata. Again, I am talking only Mahabharata context. Panduranga Vaman Kane, the Dharma Shastra, 5 volumes. Can you imagine this? The book that is dedicated to Dharma Shastra, nothing to do with the chronology of Mahabharata, has one of the best discussion on the chronology of Mahabharata, and 99% of Mahabharata researchers who work on the chronology do not come anywhere close to what Panduranga Vaman Kane has done in the history of Dharma Shastra volume 3. Kalivarja, the Kalivarja section. You know, that's just amazing. Okay, so the Dharmic Assertions, 2 claims come there. Since I created it, do you want to take a guess who falls into that one? I claim that I fall into that one, okay, and open for the challenge, okay. And the 125 plus fall into this last category, okay. What I'm showing you is, just like we take the evidence, we split into different things. We can look at the claims, we can look at the certain aspects of scientific acumen, and we should be able to split them. Any questions on this one? No? Which one? Here? What is your question? Many. Yes. So for example, I just mentioned Professor Jain Narikar. Okay. So he would say, because he has not seen the fuselage of Pushpak Vimana's aircraft engines, not seen the drawings of it, therefore he cannot accept that. That's fine. But therefore the Ramayana is doesn't make sense. Okay, many. I mean, the whole communist will just, people will make a laugh, they will find something. Draupadi Vastraharan is another one. I mean, there are many things like that. Draupadi Vastraharan is another. Okay, how did that happen? What is the scientific basis? What's the equation that brings the saris down? And so on. Okay. Any other questions on this? You find this useful? I mean, doesn't matter what you are studying, guys. It's not about the Mahabharata or astronomy. It is useful anywhere. Okay, these two principles. Okay, now quick simple examples now into Drishtanta. You might have seen this. Just take a minute, read it if you can. If you cannot read, let me know. I'll read it. It's not very clear. Right? You're familiar with this. This fellow, a drunkard here, I'm looking for my quarter I dropped here. The cops ask him, did you drop it here? No, I dropped it 2 blocks down the street, some space away. Then why are you looking for it here? Because the light is better here. It's okay, that's a common sense, right? So, and I'm going to show you example. If you start in the wrong place to look for a certain date, no matter how much mimicry, gimmicks you do, you're going to end up on the wrong date because you started at the wrong place. So that's one of the principle of a scientific acumen, Mahatva Mapan, Taratamya, common sense, distinction, differentiation, and gradation. Okay. Another example, you'll like this. Cricket, everyone knows cricket here. If I have to talk in America, I just change that to baseball. Okay, so because they ask what's cricket. Okay, nowadays they know it. Now Indian Cricket Board, for a day match, they have a certain specifications. The ball diameter has to be between the two. So if you want to check if this ball diameter, this particular cricket ball is good and follows the specification, what you might do is something like this. How many of you have used Vernier Caliper? The Vernier Caliper machine? No? If you don't, once I show the picture, you say, I remember seeing it. Something like this. Some of you, yeah, right, or micrometer. So what do? You take this ball and place it between these 2 prongs properly, right, tight fit. And then you take 2 readings. You take 1 readings on this main scale and you take the secondary reading on this vernier scale or a precise scale. Then you tighten the screw so that the things don't move and you take both readings and then you may come up with a measurement. Suppose you do not fit the ball properly between those 2 prongs. Does it matter how accurate you take the reading on the secondary scale? It doesn't matter, because what's going to happen is no matter what you do, no matter how precise you are in taking the secondary reading, you are going to get a wrong answer. Okay? So for example, if you measure this as 70.0682, maybe by a mistake, the 0682 looks like a target, 0.0682, but the answer is wrong. Everyone with me? So getting that approximately right first is very important. Can you keep that in mind? Because that has to do with how I took astronomy evidence and separated into 2. One is due to the effect due to the precision and another effect due to the short-term phenomenon or near-earth phenomenon. Okay, why the sequence of evidence matters for logical inferences? You may not remember, but when I went to Madurai, someone asked me, is your date for the first day of the Mahābhārata war correct according to Mahābharata text? No, that's a great question. But the reason that person asked is because some other superficial manipulator is going around and telling that my first day tithi is not correct. Okay, but here is the problem for it. That tithi is worth discussing, okay, because there is no clear evidence in Mahabharata. That's why you can fight about it. But the sequence matters and the association matters. How many of you have eaten French fries? Be truthful. Huh? Who has not? Aloo chips, in general, yeah. Now she is trying to say, please raise hand, not the French fries, fine, aloo chips, right? French fries, most of you have eaten in some form, yes? Okay, good. So I'll tell you how to make French fries. Okay, you get those potatoes there, soiled potatoes. Step 1, you wash them. Okay, what do they do the next? Then you cut them into slices of your choice, your preference. The next thing, you fry them. Now the cooking experts will tell me they have different method, but just stick with me, okay? They fry them and then they season them, you know, so put salt, put spices, what you like and so on, okay? That's the sequence. Now, if you change this sequence, any other sequence, what will happen? Let's try couple. Let's go backwards. 4, 3, 2, 1. So you take the potatoes, you start with those potatoes and spice them. Then you fry those whole potatoes, so to say, soiled with dust, dirt on them. Then you cut them and then you wash with water. Wow. Any other sequence will lead to a very garbled product, right? The second aspect of association, so when you are washing the potatoes, you are washing with water. So that time you need water. When you are cutting, you need a knife. When you are frying, you need a oil. And when you are seasoning, you need a salt and other stuff, okay? If you change those associations, again we have a problem. You wash the potatoes with oil and try to fry with the water. Again, what I'm using is a drishtanta, okay? But that, whatever I'm showing for this, it's very obvious to everyone that also matters when you take evidence, like astronomy evidence, and try to test it. The sequence matters, okay? Oh, all right, so session 4 here. So Mahabharata chronology as the 5561 BC as the year of Mahabharata war. What I'm going to do is quickly walk you using these principles of scientific acumen and quickly take you to 5561 BCE, okay? And then rest of the time until we stop, we are going to go into the lunisolar calendar. We are going to build a lunisolar calendar. Hopefully you don't have to sleep. I want the volunteers here, okay? So we'll do it one at a time. Quickly, the objective of scientific testing and prediction. What is it? It should do two things. Many times people think it should only explain the thing. Again, I won't go into the contours, the fun that we had, but I'll talk afterwards about it a little bit. Which is to say, if you are claiming something as you are testing it, it's not sufficient that you only have an explanation, but it should also lead to something. And that leading to something is a constraint, a restriction, okay? And I'll give you an example of that. Because otherwise it's not a scientific testing. Now this is a point lost on many Mahabharata researchers. So take Arundhati observation, we have not discussed this, but they don't like the way I have tested it. They cannot find any fault with it. So what they do is, they say, well, but there could be different interpretation. Not what I'm saying, there could be other interpretation, and I say that's possible. So I say, what is your interpretation? And then they give some interpretation. I say, okay, so based on that interpretation, what is it telling you? And it doesn't tell them anything. There is no specific time that they can come up with it. But they say, but I explained it. But in objective testing, you just simply providing explanation is not sufficient. How many of you have heard the name Srikant Talagiri? Some of you? Srikant Talagiri? No? He's Rigveda, the analysis and what, okay? So when objecting, and tomorrow you'll see it more when I talk of Arundhati Vasishtha. In objecting to my explanation, which is you can visually see it, why Arundhati goes ahead of Vasishtha. He says, you know what, it's not something to be seen in the sky. It is in the Vyasa's mind. It is, and by the way, we are good friends. We meet together, we communicate by email. We vehemently disagree. So, very be comfortable with that. We sit together and take pictures, we eat together, we exchange gifts and whatnot. So this is a philosophical disagreement. He says it is in the mind of Vyasa. I said, fine, that's possible. I mean, that's another interpretation. So based on that it is in the mind of Vyasa, could you tell when that happened? Because it's an astronomy observation. So now then he says it is not astronomy observation. Okay, and if I have time, I will walk you through that. So what happens? Once you make a twist somewhere to fit, the circular thing into a round thing or whatnot, then you continue to hit problems. My point being, it's not about Srikant Talagiri. It's not sufficient that you explain the observation, because what is his observation? It's a psychological thing. That's the explanation. But you also have to it should lead to a constraint or a restriction. For even simple thing, for example, if somebody is born on Nakshatra Rohini, just a simple statement, what is the restriction it places on because of that statement? Yeah, there are 27 nakshatras, not other. Even if we consider a mistake of plus minus one nakshatra here and there, so let's take out those two nakshatra, we will say definitely that person was not born on 24 other nakshatras. That is the constraint. That is the restriction. Okay. Alright, so we are going to start with 215 astronomy references. We classified them, remember, I am repeating this, effects due to the precession on the left side, effects due to the near earth phenomenon. Think of this, the one on the left side, as equivalent to taking the Vernier Caliper and putting the cricket ball between the two prongs, finding the approximate diameter of the cricket ball. Are you with me? The blue observations allow you to approximately get into the region where the coin is lost, that drunkard's coin is lost, okay, and now you are looking for it. The other observations in the, what is that color? I am color blind, guys, orange, yellow, yeah, something like that, okay. Those observations allow you to fine tune the year, okay? So let's do that. This shows you the sequence in which you should test this observation, just like making the fries. Anything else will lead to a very garbled product, not a desired product, okay. So AV observation, so first what you do, start everywhere and restrict yourself, definitely here, then definitely here, and then fine tune. Okay. So if you look at just the AV observation, and actually we are going to look at these observations in detail tomorrow morning, okay, when your brain is fresh and all that. If you just test this AV observation, do you know what it says? And don't worry what even AV observation is. Arundhati Vasishta. So what it says is, when you test it, that particular observation, the way Vyasa says it, it happens in Mahabharata, can only happen in real life after 11,091 BCE, before 4508 BCE. You just take my leap of faith. Have you seen what is that, Indiana Jones movie? Yeah, and the bridge comes, some of you who have observed it, just take a leap of faith. It's true, we'll see that tomorrow. So based on that one observation, we said 4500 BC or 1191 BC, outside this not possible. Just this one observation, what did it do? Now if you are not familiar, you may not realize it. 96% plus existing claims for the year of Mahabharata are after 4508 BCE. Okay? Now when that happens, you should expect something. Everyone is going to fight against this observation. Yeah? Because what? It is a fight for survival. Okay? Expect this. Now, but then objection people raise is this, oh, but come on, this is just one observation. There are many observations in Mahabharata. Okay? So we looked at another one. Bhishma Nirvan, there are 23 plus observations. Now why 23 plus? When I wrote my first book, I just initially had written 6 observations. Actually only 6 observations are needed to show the chronology of Bhishma Nirvan, how long Bhishma was on the bed of arrows. Then people started, even before I published the first book, I sent to some Mahabharata researchers, and they said, no, but Bhishma did this and said this. It could tell me that they have not read Mahabharata. They are Mahabharata researchers, experts, they have not read Mahabharata. So I started saying, what about this reference? What about this reference? So 6 turned into 23. And then I published that first book, 2011. Okay, that you might have seen it by now, but this book. Okay, so 2011. Once I published it, first 4 or 5 years, no one said a word. Why? Because they thought, hopefully no one pays attention and this guy is ignored and life is all good. When that did not happen, okay, so what happened? Now they started objecting more to this Bhishma Nirvana. So every time they will find an objection, to refute that objection, I'll go back to Mahabharata. That's how I ended up reading Mahabharata many times. And every time I found more evidence. Just on the Bhishma Nirvana, now I have 100 references. Actually, it's more. In fact, in reality, what happens is, if they keep on asking, I will say, okay, please read the whole Shanti Parva, please read the whole Drona Parva. It's like that, if they don't read. So now I'm close to 100. But just go with the 23 for now. So Bhishma Nirvana 23, plus there are Tithi constraints. Remember, we just saw in the morning, Alaksha Prabhaya ina Purnamasi cha Kartikim. This is the description. What it's saying is, the full moon of Purnima was looking coppery and all that. Which means what? This is the description between Vyasa and Dhritarashtra, just day before the war. And he is saying the full moon of Purnima, full moon of Kartiki Purnima was coppery color. Would you agree that the Kartiki Purnima has passed away? That is gone. So that is what I mean by the Tithi constraints. So definitely the Mahabharata war began after Kartik Purnima, for example, things like that. Okay? So when you combine those two, and that's what I mean by Sahacharya or association, sometimes you have to combine the two, it leads us to this constraint. It tells us that the Mahabharata war, and I don't want you to confuse here, pay attention. The second constraint is telling me the Mahabharata war could not have happened before 8000 BC. It would not have happened anytime after 3700 BC. You follow? Sometimes people confuse. So there is an overlapping area. So definitely, now based on two together, it did not happen here, it did not happen there. Okay? Let's look at the another one. If I take this Bhishma Nirvana plus phases and positions of the moon, how long the war lasted? 18 days. Okay, there are close to 30 or 40 specific descriptions of the phases and positions of the moon during the 18 days of the war. Okay, and that allow you to infer two things. First thing, it allows you to infer that majority of the war happened during the Shukla Paksha. Forget the month. Happened during the Shukla Paksha. So there are total 18 days. So it cannot be all Shukla Paksha. But the 15 days, majority happened Shukla Paksha plus few days of other Paksha. It has to be. When you look at the positions and phases of the moon, it also tells you that it has to be the month of Margashirsha. Because one thing you don't know is that it is not the month of Kartika, that you know that, because Shukla Paksha is already gone, full moon. Okay? So when you combine that, it leads you to this. Another restriction. So based on that, we can say now that it did not happen anytime before 7285, anytime after 5125. And I don't want you to take a leap of faith. Tomorrow I'm going to show you exactly how we reach these conclusions. Okay? And then there is still more evidence. But you don't have to look at all the evidence yet. Although I have looked at all the evidence, it's a requirement. I must look at all the evidence. If you look at the Saturn and Jupiter and combine that evidence, what happens is, in Mahabharata, there are 3 descriptions of Saturn. Again, we are going to do that tomorrow. 3 descriptions of Saturn and 3 descriptions of Jupiter. Okay, whatever position Saturn was in and whatever position Jupiter was in, now I don't know if you know that, how long Saturn takes to go around and make a one circle, anyone? 30 years. How long Jupiter takes to make one circle? 12 years. So stay with me. Whatever position they were at the time of Mahabharata war, whenever that happened, to have the same combination get repeated for the position of Saturn and Jupiter, it would take approximately 60 years. Would you agree? 30 and this 12 multiplication, 12 times 5 and 30 times 2. So approximately 60 years. Okay? So in this range here, this whatever the color it is, I can go whatever the position I want to claim every 60 years and find multiple instances. Okay? When we do that, we will get around 40 or whatever instances. And then if I combine this with 6 observations of Mars, a very unique year emerges. That's 5561 BCE. You're following what I'm doing? Like a jigsaw puzzle, you know, some combinations you just cannot fit. So you have to discard those. Now this is only one way I reach 5561 BCE. If I want to reach another one, for example, now this is getting heavy for some of you. Okay, show me on this. It could be getting heavy, no problem. Okay, so this month, no, I'm just enjoying it, guys. Why are you talking, Nilesh? Let me explain. So this is this, or this. No, this is truly heavy. I have lost. Where? Show me. Everyone show the feast here, or wherever it is. I hope you are not pretending, that's why you are going good. Okay. So for example, let us say I did not have the other constraints. If it was just this, what would I do? From here also I can jump. I can look at Saturn's 3 observations, Jupiter's 3 observations. So every 60 years I can repeat, and I can do this same thing. But I will have to look at many more combinations because the whole range is 6,500 years. My point being, you can try going multiple ways. You will reach 5561 BCE. And I just showed you what? Maybe 50 observations total out of 215. And there are these additional 150 observations. When you add into your avial, it's going to give you that same product, same taste, 5561 BC. Just another look, if somebody doesn't like the circle and get confused, nothing new here. So Arundhati observation gives me these. So I eliminated, the yellow is I eliminated those areas. Okay, sometimes people confuse with the circles. Second set of observations, I found these constraints. I eliminated those areas. You are with me on the time. Okay. The third set of considerations, I find the range. I eliminated those areas. Then I look at planetary positions. There are 27 plus. I am looking at 6 of them. I deliberately chose Saturn and Jupiter. Why? Because they are the slowest. Okay. Now Mars is moving fast. So people, the likes of me, Mahabharata researchers can take a license and try to interpret here and there and whatnot. With Saturn and Jupiter, you cannot do much fun. Saturn, you cannot move literally, 30 years. Okay, so you get multiple instances and then you add Mars 6 observations. Again, it will hit you 5561 BC. Use the mic, please.
To zero down on 5561, was Mars the only option left to add at the end?
So what is your question?
This.
Can you speak into this so I can hear also?
You are phase-wise cutting the time frame.
Yeah.
So at the end, you zero down on 5561 using Mars.
Just for a demonstration. Okay. Suppose if I remove Mars.
Other options are there?
Yeah, if I put Venus and if I put Mercury, I will reach 5561 BC. Lot more work.
Okay.
I would have 200 different setups to study as opposed to 40.
Okay.
Something like that.
You chose Mars over Mercury and Venus because again Mars moves slower compared to Mercury and Venus?
I chose Mars. No, that's a great question. I chose Mars because first thing, it has 6 observations. 6 multiple observations. Okay. So for example, what are the multiple observations? Just to give you a flavor. It is saying that it was with Venus and Mercury together close by on the 18th day of the war. It went Vakri, and we are going to talk about the different definitions of astronomy in the Mahabharata times versus our times tomorrow, if we get time. Mars went Vakri near Nakshatra Magha, and Mars went Vakri near Nakshatra Jeshtha Anuradha. Now, if we take Vakri, you know how is Vakri retrograde? If you translate Vakri as retrograde, it doesn't make sense. Because the 2 nakshatras that I said are only 7 nakshatras away. And Mars goes Vakri only once in 2 years approximately. Okay? So, in 1.88 years it completes the whole circle, goes to 27. So, only 7 nakshatras, how did that happen? We have to look for something else. So, Mars had a lot of constraints. So, more observations meaning more constraints. I have to explain each one of those 6. Does that make sense? So that helped me. But if I would have removed Mars, if I would have taken something else, it would have taken me to 5561 BC. Any other question?
Maybe you're going to do this later. If you are, then we can just move on. You said phases of the moon, yes. Position of the moon, you did it by season in which it was mentioned?
No, not season. So phases. So what happens? Yeah. So let me talk about the phases for the 18 days of the war. So first 7 days of the war, there is no mention of moon anywhere. Right now, in those days, moon is something so obvious, right? In somewhere as allegory it comes, First 7 days, no mention of the moon. Now, you're smiling. That is not my only evidence, by the way. The eighth day, the first mention of moon appears. Like Duryodhana is going to meet Bhishma, and he is described as moon surrounded by other nakshatras or something like this. The first description of a full moon or a full moon-like moon, I'm deliberately using the word full moon-like moon. You understand why? Because the full moon that we see is not only on the 15th day, not on the Purnima. The way it works, the first previous 3 days also is almost like a full moon. And after Purnima also next 3 days it is like a full moon, close to it. And so the first description of a full moon appears on the 12th day of the war. And then it's a full moon description extravaganza. Full moon, full moon, full moon. So 13-day Abhimanyu died. Full moon description. 14-day, the whole night fight, full moon. 15-day Drona died, full moon description. 16-day Karna became 17-day Karna died, full moon descriptions. 17th day, the Shalya, whatever, the full moon description. 17th day he died. Full moon, full moon. Even after the war is over, one more day, it is a full moon descriptions. So that tells me that it started with a nothing, 7 day no descriptions, now moon, now full moon descriptions. Are you following me? So that's that Shukla Paksha. The second aspect of the positions is this. I want to know where is the full moon. So the 12th day of the war, the full moon like moon is described near Nakshatra Kritika. And then the full moon like moon continues, and on the 16th and 17th day it is described a moon near Punarvasu. So now I don't know if you know the nakshatra system, but if you go here, Kritika, Rohini, Mrugashirsha, Ardra, Punarvasu. So this is on the 12th day, the full moon is near Kritika. Full moon, full moon, full moon, and like 16th and 17th day, it is near Punarvasu. I already also know from additional evidence that Kartik Purnima is already gone. Okay, now I cannot go too far. There is other restriction. What is it? Chaitra full moon. Before Chaitra full moon happened, Bhishma is already gone and they have gone to collect the wealth and so on and so forth. So I have to get everything done during that time. Okay. So based on that, it tells me that it's not Kartik. Kartik is already over. Now what is the next choice? Either Margashirsha or Paush. If you go Paush, everything else goes downhill. And does it fit for Margashirsha? Sure it does. The full moon like moon near Kritika, full moon like moon near Punarvasu. You follow what I am doing here? The full moon is somewhere in between, like near Mrugashirsha or Ardra. Arundhati, does that answer? Or we can take it offline. No? Okay. Now just quickly another one. Truth likeness score. So somebody may ask me, so could I take all these 215 observations and fit it? Okay. The answer is no. I have to be honest, right? So the actual answer comes out more like 210 to 5. So I can match 210. I could not match 5 observations. Okay. Now, you would say, okay, so your theory is wrong. For example, my dear friend, and you know him, Srinivas Udumudi, So when this discussion was happening online, he said, okay, but Nilesh ji, it is, people put G to my name, you don't please put that. But he says, is it not true that if one of your observation doesn't match, your whole thing is wrong? Okay, and it's not about him, I'm just using that as a name as a true illustration. What about Newton's theory? Forget Einstein. But even when Newton proposed it, he could not explain the position of Mercury with his theory. Still, why was his theory accepted? Yeah, because his theory was still better than everyone else is out there. Okay, let's take a second analogy because that will explain this truth likeness score. How many of you have watched the tennis match? Wimbledon and French Open and all of this, right? So, who is the famous player still? I'm not following. Federer? Federer is still around? Okay, let's assume that. Huh? He is, okay. So let's assume that he is the player and there is a best of 5. So best of 5 turn into something like this, and I'm just making it up, exaggerating here, okay, but something like this, okay. Federer versus someone else. So what does this tell you? I mean, so Federer versus someone else, 6-1, 6-0, 6-2. What is your verdict? Who won? Federer, right? Now, just because he won, we are not saying that the other person did not score any points against him. I'm just using as an analogy, by the way, not justification for me missing on 5. So there could be, the other party could have scored some point, but the net effect is that Federer is the winner. Same thing happened for Newton. Even if he couldn't explain the mercury, because he's explained everything more than anybody else and in a better fashion with a simple formula, his theory is the best at that time anyways, okay. So this is how we can read this 205. This was my old score, now this is disturbing the thing as I find more observation, but just to show you. So what I call this, it's not my term, truth likeness score or verisimilitude score, like truth score. So the top score is like a 224 to 10, and it's not a last word, because that number, some of it may not include some of this, and we may not go into this discussion in this course. So AV observation, it matches for my date, 561. Yeah? So I scored S, 10 for that 5561. The epoch of Bhishma Nirvana, we are going to look at this, okay, tomorrow morning, these top 4. 57 to 2. There are 57 observations, 57 go on my side, 2 goes against me. Prima facie. The 2 that go against me are prima facie. They can be explained. I choose not to explain because then gets into a wrong discussion, But what is that 2 observation? Some people think it's 58 days and it's a Magha Shukla Ashtami, so like that. The epoch of Mahābhārata War, the last smallest circle that I showed you, the brown circle, that's 132 for my, 6 against me, okay, and just goes on from there, evidence of planet, and I can add up. That's the truth likeness score. That is the best you can do in a scientific field, okay. And all this is showing is, there is a hierarchical structure below this. How did I come to this score? That comes from various other things. You follow? Cooking avial, cut the vegetables, wash them, put it on the side. Something like that, we are just assembling it together. Alright, so we have got 5:15, right? We stop, okay. So in 15 minutes, we want to build as much as we can on the lunisolar calendar. So just, 15, yeah. That's fine, yeah, okay. No, that's fine, let's not waste time. Okay, so on a feast of 5, this meaning you understand lunisolar calendar 95% well, and this meaning you don't understand anything about lunisolar calendar, Indian calendar. Show me where it is. And hold it there, hold it there. Lunisolar, like the Indian calendar. Please hold it nicely, either this, whatever, or in between. You know what I'm asking you, right? Okay, very good. Okay, let's see. Okay, excellent. Okay, the average was 0.6. Okay, so let's start with the basics here. I need, let's see, 7 volunteers. It's the easiest stuff, guys. 7 volunteers. You are going tomorrow, so you better come here. Okay, 6 more. Come fast, yeah. Arya, come in. No? Okay, so yes, tomorrow is going to be tougher. All right. So at the center, okay, we will make him. What's your name? Vishnu is good enough. Yeah, that's sun. Okay, Vishnu is our sun, the Surya. Okay, it's identified. Vishnu is identified with Surya. Indra is identified with Surya. Okay, so that's our sun in the center. Okay, please, Professor, if you join me, you have the toughest job. Okay, he is the Earth. Okay, and so the sun is at the center, and Earth is going to make a complete rotation. So just make a pradakshina around him. Yeah, it's blue, that's what we need. Okay. So when Earth made a complete rotation around the Sun, that was 1 solar year. Okay, the exact numbers we will get on the slides. Okay, 1 solar year. Anyone remembers the approximate length? 1 solar year. 365 days, and then we take a leap year once in a while, 366 days. Everyone with me? Good. Okay, just stay there. Okay, all right. So now, come from that side, so we'll get it. Yeah, come here. Okay. Now this gets tricky, guys. Okay, he is the moon. Yeah. So now what happens is, you don't forget what he did. He is always rotating. Okay, that never stops. Okay, you don't have much job to do. Yeah, Sthita Pradnya. Yeah, please go in the center. So there is a space. Okay. Yeah. Right? Okay. All right. So yeah, just come in the front a little bit. No, you're fine. Just come in the front a little bit. Okay. So now what happens is this. He is here. Okay. That's Sun. This is Earth, and this is Moon. I'm going to ask you the question. In terms of Tithi, what day is this? Sun, Earth, Moon. Purnima, full moon day. Full moon day. Everyone with me? Why? Because the full rays of the Sun, okay, it's not very obvious, right? So just turn him here, Okay. We can't make them stand, go up there and so on. So full rays of the Sun are shined on this area. Okay, you may want to turn it this way. Shine on this area, and from the Earth, when you look at it, it's a full moon. Yes? Because full rays of the Sun can be seen here. Yeah? Okay. Now go there and stand in between them. You can move a little bit here, Okay. What Tithi is this? Amavasya. Okay. Because Sun is shining on the moon, but it's not visible from the Earth. So you can't see anything, it's dark. And what do you say? Amavasya. Now we have Sanskrit experts. What does the word Amavasya itself means? Be close, associating with, together, next to each other, something like this. What is next to each other? As seen from the Earth, the moon and the Sun are together. Everyone with me? Okay. So that's Amavasya. This is the Purnima if they are here. And of course, I'll show you. Come here and stand in front of him. Okay. What is this? Forget Shukla or Vadya, but just what is this? If he's like at a 90 degree, Ashtami. Okay, go on this, stand on his backside, same place. That is also Ashtami, okay, of the other side, and we'll not get into Shukla or Vadya, I'll show you on the slides. So far, so good? Okay. Now, move there further, a little bit. Yeah, okay, good. Make them space. You stand in the middle here. Okay. Yeah, here. You move here. Okay, good. Now, you're going to rotate around him, around the Earth. Don't go near Sun, okay? Yeah. So, make a circle around.
Go this way, that same direction.
Yeah. You choose a direction and go. It doesn't matter, okay? Just stay that way. Don't change it, okay? So what is happening now? Keep on rotating, That's fun, right? It's easy. Yeah. So moon is rotating around the Sun, okay? So we'll start from here, okay? So this is Purnima. This is full moon. Yes. Make a complete circle and stop here when you come, okay? So he started with the full moon, and all the way he completed to the next full moon. Okay, this is 1 lunar month. Okay, and because he started from a full moon and stopped at the next full moon, it will be called the Purnimanta lunar month. Purnimanta, because Purnima to Purnima. Okay, and again I'll cover that. Okay, Purnima to Purnima. Now go and stand in the middle. No, middle meaning between the two. Okay. In the same rotation, make a 1 circle and go and come stop. So he starts at Amavasya. Okay, start a circle. Stop. So what he did is, he started from Amavasya, he went to next Amavasya. This is a lunar month, the one cycle that he took to get into the same phase, Amavasya to Amavasya. Okay, because it's Amavasya to Amavasya, it's called the Amanta lunar month. Fine? It's Amanta lunar month. Now what I didn't show you, because it gets tricky, that he is not moving. The earth is not moving in this demonstration. But in reality, earth is moving. Okay? Yeah, so come here. Sorry, you stay there. You come here. You stay there too. Okay? The distance. So now what is going to happen is this. How many nakshatras are there that you are aware of? 27, and then hopefully let's not fight the 28th, the Abhijit. Okay? Let's, for our discussion, ignore the 28th nakshatra. Okay? Just for simplification. Otherwise, you will be here until 10:30 at night. Why Abhijit? Okay? So what happens is this. We are going to now talk about the lunar day. Just like we talk of the solar day. What is a solar day? Yeah, these days we talk about 24 hours, midnight to midnight. But suppose when that did not exist, we could still do what? The sunrise to sunrise, sunset to sunset, we could still do that. That's like a full day. So what happens is, now your basic geometry. If he is going in a circle, how many degrees he is going through? 360, okay, very good. So what he's going to do now is just walk, like take one step possibly, but you're going in a circle. So when he goes through 12 degrees, okay, this is mathematical. When he goes through 12 degrees, that is what? 1 tithi. When he goes through 12 degrees, it is a 1 tithi. Then take another one, and just approximately, that's fine. That's another tithi. Go again, another tithi, and keep on doing that. Another tithi. Okay, keep coming here. Okay. Keep on coming. Okay. So what's going to happen? He's not going to reach here. I'll tell you why. Just stay backwards here. So when he comes here, only 27 days. That's when, and when we talk about nakshatra, I'll show you. He has gone through nakshatra to nakshatra. So he started with the one nakshatra, say Kritika, and he came to Kritika. The moon came to Kritika. That happens in 27 days, 27.53 approximately. So Kritika to Kritika he completed. In that sense, he has completed the whole circle. But he has not come into the same phase. He has not reached the Amavasya. Okay? Can someone tell me why, although the moon completed the whole circle in the sense of starting from same nakshatra to the same nakshatra, but not from Amavasya to Amavasya? Because earth is moving. Okay? So in the meantime, what has happened is, although I showed it here for a demonstration, he has moved with respect to the sun. And what needs to happen? He needs to be exactly opposite for it to be Amavasya. So come here now. So that additional time he needs, okay, so 27.53 he completes a circle from nakshatra to nakshatra, but he needs additional 2.5 days, 29 point something, to come into the same position in terms of the phase. So we have two types of lunar months. Okay, one we call sidereal, another one we call synodic. Sidereal meaning in terms of the same nakshatra. So Kritika to Kritika. Again, don't worry about the names, okay? That's like a same nakshatra to same nakshatra is one type of month. And the another one is synodic, meaning the same phase. Amavasya to Amavasya, Purnima to Purnima. You follow what I'm saying? So it completes in 27 days, and that's how we decided to have 27 nakshatra as a milestones. Okay? And in between what is happening is the earth is also moving. How many degrees approximately earth is moving? Approximately 30 degrees. 30 degrees, right? 12 months, So that is that additional 30 degrees that he has to capture. That's why it takes that 2.5 days. Okay? So we talked about the lunar day. Lunar day is what? Okay, you practice here, so you have done enough, What is the definition of a lunar day? How long, how much movement of the moon? Through the, how many degrees? 12 degrees. To the 12 degrees, that is a lunar day. Okay? What is the length of a sidereal or the shorter lunar month? Approximate is good. 27 days. From the same nakshatra to the same nakshatra. What is the length of the synodic or the longer lunar month? 29, 29.53, something like that. I'll give you in the PowerPoint. SYNODIC. Sidereal. SIDE. You got me there. Anyone knows? No. Okay. The both are Chandramasa. The one with sidereal is based on a star, meaning Krutika to Krutika, Nakshatra to Nakshatra. This is based on the Tithi. Yeah. Yeah, so one based on a Nakshatra to Nakshatra, another based is on the phase to the phase, like Amavasya to Amavasya. That is a solar year. Solar year, okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. Now, so just the basic background of the lunar day, lunar month, phases, Amanta, Purnimanta. Good. You get a rest, just go in the background, okay. Come here, okay. Come here, in the centers. Find the center you can find, okay. Now, quickly we are going to talk the seasons, the solar year, and we'll stop for today, okay. Now, he gets to do some kind of exercise, okay. What I want you to do is do like this. Yeah, looks good. Looks good? Okay, all right. There you go. So I found the right volunteer here. Okay. No, don't stretch yourself too much. You're going to do this for long. Okay. Yeah. That's okay. So it's but one up and one down. Yeah. If he stands. Yeah. And anyone knows what I'm asking him to do? The proxy for what? Axis. Very good. So what happens is Earth's axis, this is the north and this is the south, okay, and this is Earth's axis here, so Earth is tilted, so that's what I'm making it, instead of making him tilt, I'm just saying, okay, this one is good. Good question. What is the reference? The reference is Vishnu. The reference is the sun, okay. So the way sun is seen from the earth, how it moves, that is called ecliptic. And thank you, I had to cover that anyways. That is the ecliptic, that is the reference frame. That is the reference, guys. The way sun appears to us going around, that is the reference. Everything is in relationship to that. Otherwise, we are just floating in space with no reference. So that is the reference. With respect to that, let us say it is like this, okay. So now tell me, this is the sun. Okay, and think of this as a sort of a long circle or elliptical circle. What day is this? What day? This is a north hemisphere. So we are talking of India and all that. Okay, so it's like this and it's like this. What day is this, you think? Winter. Any other answer? There's only one more. Yeah, the northern area is closest to the sun. Okay? Sankranti. Yeah, northern summer. So what day is it, you think? I'll give you a hint. We are very close to it. Longest day. 21st June, 22nd June, 23rd June, whatever you want to do it. Okay? That is called the day of summer solstice. The day of summer solstice, or what is our Dakshinayana Bindu, okay? So this is summer solstice, and now what happens is he stays that way, by the way, okay? So don't turn around yourself, although the earth does turn, for just the axis. So what he's going to do is he's just going to go like this. So now he is like this, okay? What happens when he comes here? They both are almost equidistant, the south side or the north side with respect to the sun. Are you with me? But if I just continue here and I go here, now what happened? Yes, south is having summer and north is having winter. This is my 21st, 22nd December. You follow? Okay? You are going to do it now. So this is my summer solstice. Okay? Go here. So what comes after summer solstice? The fall equinox or Sharada. What is the word? Vernal equinox. Vishwadin on the Sharad. Okay? Around 23rd September. Okay? Now just go there. And now we have got, when he goes all the way there, now we got 22nd, 21st of December. Yeah, and go in the back, the same thing. Now we got what, 23rd of March. Yeah, okay, now just relax, you can come here. So what we saw there is this. What you notice, the seasons, the cold, the heat, right? The summer, the winter, the Sharad season or the spring is decided by what? Earth's axis, which way it is tilted, and the sun. Yeah, moon has no role as far as the season is concerned. Absolutely no role. But in terms of everyday measurement, we use the moon. Because the Tithi, 12 degree, and then the full moon near which month? Chaitra, Vaishak, Jeshta, Ashad, all of that. So for a smaller measurement, for a daily measurement, it is the lunar day. For a month also we use the lunar month. Okay? But when we want to look at the season, we want to look at the solar month, solar year. We haven't talked of solar month yet. And we will not talk today, solar month. But, so season, if you want to keep constant, you must understand the solar cycle, the solar year. But for a daily computing, you must understand the lunar day, the lunar paksha, the lunar positions, lunar month. Are you with me? So these are the two things, and we need to combine those into a lunisolar calendar. Quickly, Islamic calendar. How many of you are familiar? Please, thank you very much. Give them a big hand here, okay? Sorry, I didn't use some of you. No, I had something in my mind. The summer solstice and winter solstice, just because of time. How many of you are familiar with just 2 more minutes, okay? How many of you are familiar with the Islamic calendar? Yeah? Yeah, 5 minutes, okay. Islamic calendar. No? Okay. Oh, I'm going to tell you something. Okay. The Islamic calendar is purely lunar calendar. Right now there Ramadan is going on, if you know, okay. What happens is this. Now just a quick math I will tell you. The moon completes one circle in 29.53 days. Like a lunar month is 29.53. Amanta, like Amavasya to Amavasya, for example. Now when it makes 12 rotations, like 12 circles, we call it lunar year. So someone do the math, I know the number, 29.53 multiplied by 12, 354, okay, 354. So the lunar year, the 12 rotations, lunations is called, is of 354 days. The solar year, you already told me, 365 days or 366 days. Exact length is 365.2422, okay. So what happens? Every year, it creates a gap between a lunar year and a solar year of approximately 10 to 11 days. Precise number 10.88 days on an average. Okay. Now purely Islamic calendar, I'll use the American term, doesn't give a damn to the solar year. Okay, they don't care about this. They say just not in a negative way, I'm saying in any way. They will just say we will follow the pure lunar calendar. Okay, so 12 lunations, their year is done, the next year begins, and so on and so forth. Now what happens is that particular month of Ramadan. So what happens? Every year it is creating a gap of approximately 10 to 11 days. So what happens? Every 3 years it will create a gap of approximately 30 days. So their Ramadan shifts by approximately 1 month every 3 years. Yeah. So if you want to go for 6 years, which is what? Approximately 18 years. So when right? Did I do the math right? Yeah. So when the 18 years go by, their Ramadan, right now it is in summer. Right now it's going on. 18 years from now, you can watch this. It will come in the winter. And just continue. Because they purely followed lunar year. Now, yeah. Nothing. Now for practical purposes, they follow Gregorian, whatever the current calendar. But for a religious purpose, just that. Now what is a Gregorian calendar? It is purely solar calendar. It is purely solar calendar. And I'm not going to go into the details to why the dates are like 31, 30, 29, 28 and all. How many of you have heard the name C.K. Raju, Professor C.K. Raju? Okay. After this 5 days, go to YouTube, type Professor C.K. Raju, Tale of Two Calendars, or just type something. You're going to have a wonderful, wonderful talk for Tale of Two Calendars. So he talks about the whole history of the Gregorian and Julian calendar. So one calendar is purely solar, another one is purely lunar. So they exist. Okay. And then there are some combinations, but where are they? We talked about the having the culture sitting in the museum. Other than India, even the projected, assumed, suggested, speculated lunisolar calendars are in the museum. The Babylonian culture, the Mayan culture, and all of that. There is no otherwise truly practicing lunisolar calendar anywhere in the world other than India. Now, when I say India, I don't mean just India. For example, you will find in Thailand, okay, but that's the extension of India, okay, and in a cultural sense, and you will find in some places. Now, we'll stop here. The lunisolar calendar is the only reason, lunisolar calendar, the beauty of lunisolar calendar is the only reason I am standing in front of you and talking about Mahabharata astronomy. If that was not the case, some of the things that I could figure out, some I still could, like AV observation would have worked, but the Bhishma Nirvan would not have worked. Many others would have simply not worked. The only reason we can detect the exact timing, whether right or wrong, but at least we can detect, is because of the fact, by a lucky coincidence or by design, I don't know, we ended up with the most sophisticated calendar in the world, the most sophisticated calendar in general, and the most sophisticated lunisolar calendar. Take the mic, please, and I'm done for the day. We'll just take the question and we'll stop.
The lunisolar calendar, the month can start either on a Purnima or an Amavasya.
Purnima to Purnima or Amavasya to Amavasya.
The zero can be anywhere.
Yeah.
So, did it affect your calculations?
Does it affect the calculation? No, it will affect the, okay, so the question is, you can either take the lunar month as Purnima to Purnima or Amavasya to Amavasya. Does it affect the calculation? For the lunar month, it wouldn't affect the calculation, but you are asking, does it affect the calculation for Mahabharata, Ramayana and such like that? Actually, it would. Yes, will affect by 15 days, but that 15 days can turn into 1,000 years. Because, we'll see, because the precession of equinoxes we'll talk tomorrow. We just cut short because of the time today. So, just one day shift takes 72 years. So, 15 times 72, approximately 1,000. So, it will shift by 1,000 years. But 1,000 years on both sides, plus minus 1,000 years. And depending on some other evidence, that may not be an issue, and we will see that tomorrow. But that's a great question. If you change, and that is a debate that is fought forever. Oh, it's a Purnamanta. But again, goes back to like some of the discussions we had. Fine, so I am saying Amanta, you don't agree with me, Purnamanta, so tell me what is your date based on Purnamanta. Finally, you have to show the date. Okay? Any other question? But great question. Any other questions? No? You are fried up enough for the day? Alright, so I'll give it to you and announce whatever we need.